English translation, 391st contact. Saturday, 18th of June, 2005, 10 and 12 hours.
You are early again today, dear friend. But be welcome and greeted anyway.
Edward, I am glad that you are well again, because as I noticed from the control device, you were indisposed with regard to your health for 2 days. But the reason why I am here so early today and woke you up is because I have a short matter to discuss with you about which you should give an answer for us, which I should then immediately pass on to our spiritual leaders, because that is awaited. Be you now, however, also greeted, my friend.
If I can be of assistance?
You certainly can. The matter is this.
If I had to explain this to the Earth humans, it would be a little bit difficult. But for you, I can do it in the following.
We understand that, and I want to transmit it immediately. So that is done, Florina will pass it on.
Everything should work out just as fast and smoothly for us.
That will also be the case in the more distant future. I know your concept of time. Farther future probably means that it will take another 1,000 years or more. Your assumption is correct.
I thought so. But if you will allow me, I would like to ask a few questions.
Of course.
So then, as early as the late 70s or early 80s, it must have been 1978, 1979, 1980, or 1981, Silvano and some others asked me some questions about smoking weed or the use of hashish and the like and its ultimate effects. Now I talked to Silvano about it again because he had read an article in the Blick newspaper on Monday the 13th of June. Silvano said that at that time I explained, among other things, that the long-term use of hashish and the like leads to schizophrenia. I can still remember the conversation at that time well, despite the memory loss caused by my health breakdown on the 4th of November 1982. But unfortunately nothing was put in writing at that time, because it was not a kitchen conversation. But perhaps you have some records of the conversation through your control panel?
This is unfortunately not the case if it was not a kitchen conversation, because at that time no records were made except for the kitchen conversations, which is still not the case today if it is a private conversation. We have always made recordings of conversations only in connection with the monthly meetings and the kitchen conversations, because these two are often instructive for us.
Pity. But maybe you can say something about the matter when you read this Blick article here.
If you want me to read it?
That is what I mean. Here you go.
Thank you.
Ptah reads article.
What is written here I can only confirm in all things. Schizophrenia is inevitable with prolonged use, and is also only a transitional form, which ultimately ends in permanent or chronically acute mental consciousness and overall mental disorders. This means that ultimately a dementia occurs, which ends in a chronically progressive or progressive degenerative change and thus damage to the brain. Ultimately, a chronic confusion develops with a loss of acquired cognitive intellectual abilities. Above all, disturbances of the memory activity and thus of the memory ability appear. Besides that, as with the actual dementia in higher age, personality changes appear as a consequence of a brain organic illness. In the worst case, the person loses his or her ability to orientate, as well as his or her ability to judge and to think in a coordinated manner, which impairs the entire intelligence. In addition, in the case of previous schizophrenia, mild or severe changes in the personality structure already occur, which has a negative effect on activities to be performed, as well as on interpersonal relationships and the social environment as a whole. In the stage of schizophrenia caused by drugs such as hashish, Behavioral disorders and personality changes, as well as mild and severe depressions, appear, which may show psychotic symptoms, such as hallucinations and delusions, in addition to the fact that aggressions come to light, which often lead to uncontrollability and even to destructiveness and fisticuffs, etc.
Thank you for your explanation.
We have discussed that we only make predictions about very specific things that are no longer commonplace. In this regard, I would like to give you a prediction that will certainly interest you, but will not cause you any grief. So there will be a whole series of energy accidents in Switzerland, because already on the 22nd of June at exactly 28 hours in the canton of Uri, it turns out that an overload in the power lines of the Swiss Federal Railways will cause a power failure throughout Switzerland, which will bring the entire rail traffic of the whole country to a standstill for several hours. The same event will occur the next day, but it will be limited to part of French-speaking Switzerland. One day later, another incident occurs in Zurich, causing radio and television to be switched off. This incident will be followed by another one in Zurich as well, whereby a transformer fire will again affect the Swiss Federal Railways, but this time limited to the Zurich area.
Nothing earth-shattering. But it will certainly be the case that the public media will have nothing else to do but to talk about it for days on end, while those in charge of the railways will probably also be making big speeches, as will those in government, who will be screaming for more safety and so on, all of whom will then feel devilishly clever, immensely important, and responsible. They have nothing more important to do.
You are saying exactly what will be. But now, Edouard, I want to leave, in order to be back here at 13:30 hours for correction work with Bernadette and you. After that, we can talk some more. Until then, my friend, goodbye.
15:48 hours.
Hello, dear friend, I'm back. Although I have to leave again in an hour at the latest, I will stay in the SOL system until Sunday evening. It would be gratifying for me if I could talk about a few more things without you recording them later in the conversation report when you recall and write down our conversation.
Of course, your request goes without saying.
Then I would like to begin with the following.
A long speech, my friend, also a bit unusual for me, because such concerns and questions are actually only known to me from Earth humans. Somehow it amazes me, but on the other hand...
We too are only human, Edouard, and only because you are my best friend do I dare to present everything to you in such detail and ask you for good advice. It is true that you are several hundred years younger than I am, but it is true that you are better versed in these matters than I am. And when you say my son, then I really understand your words and the advice you give me as coming from a fatherly friend.
Ahem, you are embarrassing me. I do not want to say that. I really cannot be your father, just your true friend. Excuse me, even if I sometimes call you my son, I see you more as a fatherly friend. It is simply my saying that I say my son, as I say girl or child to women. Maybe you can call it a quirk, but for my part, you know.
Do not try to give an explanation, because I understand what you are saying.
Well, thank you. So in response to your concern and your questions, I want to say this.
Your words and advice are a very great help to me, for which I am very grateful.
You do not owe me thanks, my friend, and please do not respond.
Good. Then I would like to have a private conversation over a game of chess.
I am very pleased. Here's the chess game. So let us do it.